Trojans, welcome to another edition of the Peristyle Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Abraham, publisher of USCFootball.com, joined alongside Mr. Triple Double himself, Connor Morrissette, probably going to be my roommate this weekend in Indianapolis.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, are you going to snore? And we got the sharpshooter herself, India Otto here, running the show.
Woo.
India, what's going on?
Nothing much. I'm excited to see SC.
We get that microphone close to you, yeah.
Excited to see SC in their first Big Ten road game. I'm excited. I can't wait for Saturday.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fun.
She's so excited. She's like here,
I know.
just chilling. Great. What do we got on tap today, India?
We've got a lot on tap. Another exciting show. We are going to discuss again SC's dominant showing versus Georgia Southern a little bit. Get into some practice updates from Connor. And get a little preview in on Purdue Boilers. So we got another exciting show. We are live on YouTube and Facebook, so please join in, watch us do our thing. Then, as always, I will be favoriting in the comments, so leave any of your thoughts and questions in the comments, and we'll get to it at the end.
Yeah.
So again, YouTube and Facebook, tune in.
Yeah, we're live on that. And of course, you can get us across the entire podcasting universe, wherever you get it. But most people seem to do Apple, Spotify, which is great. You can leave us a 5-star rating for the Peristyle Podcast on either one of those. And you can leave a review on Apple, and on Spotify, you can have comments about the individual shows. So I like checking the Spotify to see what people say. So thank you for that. If you have questions, you want to email us. We got a bunch of emails today, podcast@uscfootball.com. We also have voicemails and text messages to get to today. I think we have 3 voicemails for the show. 424-254-9141 is the number. And as always, we got to thank our sponsor, Trader Joe's. They're amazing. So I had a good morning, guys. I played a little beach volleyball, jumped in the ocean, did a little body surfing. It was great. Come back, shower, and then I was like, oh, crap, I got to get to the studio, make a quick lunch. I had picked up these flour tortillas from Trader Joe's and also some the Mexican cheese that's shredded, and just made and I bought some of the guacamole over there at Trader Joe's, pre-made, and then just made some chicken quesadilla, not chicken, just cheese quesadillas on the stove, and dipped them in the guacamole. It was wonderful. So quick little snack from Trader Joe's. But yeah, I gotta get back in there and replenish. I was sort of getting down to it a little bit, but good stuff from Trader Joe's. Again, thanks for their sponsorship over the years. We appreciate it very much.
You're making me hungry, Ryan. I haven't had my lunch yet.
You haven't had your lunch? Like you eat all. I could have made some extras. Like I still have more tortillas, you know.
I had a smoothie, so that's like a snack.
Me too.
Half lunch.
What was in your smoothie?
Peanut butter, banana.
Ooh.
All that good stuff.
Nice.
Yummy. Yummy stuff. Yeah, so we got a fun show for you today. Like India mentioned, we'll do a little quick recap of USC beating Georgia Southern, the Clay Helton Bowl. Little boo birds out to begin. USC maybe played with their food a little bit. Wasn't the cleanest game. Like week 1 was super clean. Not as much. Still end up winning by 39 points. I think it's one of those things where you get a lot of teachable moments off of some of the tape where some of the mistakes were made. And, your quarterback still hasn't turned the ball over this year. I think that's a good thing. You get the wide receivers going a little bit because they didn't have a touchdown in the opening week. But this is sort of like we talked about this build-up. And I think getting a resounding win with some moments of, hey, you could do this better. You could do this better. The 3 hands to the face turnovers on defense, all that kind of stuff you can kind of work on and build up to this next Purdue game. So I thought it went I know some fans weren't upset, but I think you want to get a win like that in dominating fashion, but then also be able to coach them up a little bit because, hey, this wasn't perfect. You guys made some mistakes too.
It's tough to have legitimate takeaways as to what it means for the rest of the season, but certainly a lot to like in that game. I will say Missouri State last year and Georgia Southern last year, 2 schools that were known for their offense. So USC, the fact that their offense just dominated in those 2 games, I think that was expected, and that's what happened. Jade Mayavis looked great. Makai Levin is dominating, and Jacoby Lane, Wayman Jordan, all the guys who are the alphas, the best players, the impact guys on USC's offense have all looked good, and that was expected. I think it would have been a concern if they hadn't, so that's great to see. And then defensively, USC is still working through some stuff. I agree. that's the unit that I think we all have more questions about after that Georgia Southern game than on offense. Maybe I'm speaking for you guys, and you guys have more questions on the offense. But defensively, it still looks really good, but there were, of course, some moments where you're like, okay, that's going to need to be tightened up. And that's why these two first games were pretty much scrimmages for all intents and purposes, glorified extensions of the preseason. So the fact that USC's throwing out so many lineups and doing a lot of substituting on the defensive line at cornerback, that I think is all a good thing. And if there are a few mistakes made here or there, that's fine because you're just so much better than these first two opponents. I'm excited when we start to talk about the Purdue game in a little bit because I do think that this is the game where we can actually learn a couple things about this team, where the first two, if it didn't look good, it would be concerning, but USC did what we expected them to do, which is a good thing. Tough to have takeaways from those first two opponents, though.
Yeah, and USC winning by 99 points total. When we did tunnel vision, Shotgun was like, guess what? What's the number one ranked offense? USC. There was a bunch of statistical categories where USC's first. Jaden Miles, I think, third in passing. But he's got half as many attempts as the guys in front of him. So they've had some, tremendous success. You're not playing the toughest competition, so we'll see if that's able to, be extended going into Big Ten play. I think it's a great situation. We'll get into that too, where you're just playing one of the lower level teams of the Big Ten that could be better this year because of Barry Odom and the coaching staff and the players he brought in. But you really need to get off the schneid and get a road win in this conference. And so this is a great opportunity to do that. You get a home game with Michigan State, who's, not one of the top teams in the conference. And then you're sort of like, all right, you got 4 games to sort of work out all the kinks. You should be 4-0, and then you can go into a big Illinois road game. So we've talked about this in the offseason where the buildup seems like it makes a lot of sense. First 2 games, when it's scheduled, if you struggled with either one of those teams, I think there would be a lot of concerns. There really wasn't a lot of struggle. There was a little bit of adversity, in the Clay Helton Bowl, but outside of that, everything looked good. And it's business trip now. You got to go to Indianapolis, West Lafayette, and they're flying into Indianapolis and then West Lafayette. We'll get into the travel and everything, and then just get a Big Ten road win. Not UCLA doesn't count. You can't take a bus. You get on a plane and win a game of the Big Ten. That'll be a first for USC.
A few observations I did have on my rewatch. I watched back the game Monday. Eric Gentry continues to just shine and make so many plays. He makes up for other guys making mistakes. He is just so important to stay healthy this year and just a real key out there defensively. They just need him the whole year, and I'm not exactly reinventing the wheel with that take. Everyone knows that, but he really stood out to me in this game, especially on some run defense plays. He is just a really talented guy who's so fun to watch. I didn't think the 2-minute situation was any good at the end of the first half, which is the second week of that. The first week, of course, they scored a 73-yard touchdown, so it's hard to nitpick that. But if you remember before, they kind of got stuck in neutral a little bit. Jaden Miles was slow to have a audible called at the line of scrimmage, but then they were just so much better than Missouri State that it didn't matter. So that's something that I want to see tightened up moving forward. Loved what I saw from the skill position guys. And then in the second quarter, some of the concerns defensively, like you have the coverage bust again. It's concerning that that's 2 weeks in a row, but I just think with Danton Lynn, they'll be more buttoned up as the season goes on. Maybe I'm naive to think that after 2 straight weeks of one of those happening, but I anticipate once they shorten up the rotations a little bit, guys will just know where to go. And, yeah, I didn't love some of the run defense stuff, and that is something that we'll have to watch because Purdue runs the ball really well. So that defensive line, I'm certainly going to be looking at them. And let's see if USC's edge rushers can have the production that they've had these first 2 games on the road against a tougher opponent. I want to see if this defensive line is for real against Purdue. That's something I'll be watching for.
Yeah, there's a little gashing going up front with the Georgia Southern run game. At first down, they averaged almost 5 yards a carry, and that's just one of those things where if you can get a run stuff, and USC's run stuff rate was pretty poor. Looking back, I don't have it in front of me, but it was pretty low. you'd like to get of overmatched opponent. You'd like to get a higher run stuff rate because then it's second and long and, potentially go to third and long. But I think some of those drives that Georgia Southern had, it was because they could run the ball and get 4, 5, 6 yards on first down and then, give your, the play calling becomes a lot easier. So the little things you can clean up, only giving up 20 points. They ran a lot of plays because USC was scoring so quickly. But, at the end of the day, they got 8 tackles for loss. That's 21 through the first 2 games after averaging 4 per game last year. If you can keep that up, you don't want to see a big drop-off as you get into Big Ten play. But keep up those tackles for loss, and I think they can, they won't be substituting as much probably now going forward, and maybe you can get that run stuff rate a little bit better. And, 2nd and 8, 3rd and 8, that helps your tackles for loss. You can get after the quarterback. You can make some big plays in the backfield. But, yeah, there's still a little too much juice for Georgia Southern up front. But they were fired up. I mean, they wanted to play for Clay Helton. I felt like this was a Georgia Southern team that kind of pulled out all the stops. And USC still won by 39.
Sometimes to a fault. How about that little pass to the receiver, and they tried to throw it downfield, and USC just had that totally covered, and then Gentry tackled the guy who had the ball for like a loss of 6.
That trick play.
USC was well positioned on that trick play. I see a question in the chat from Jeff: is Eric Gentry healthy? He was gimpy in the 3rd quarter. He did jog out to practice yesterday in full pad, so he looks good to go. Chris and I were wondering, because Gentry always comes out last to practice pretty much every week, and we were thinking, maybe is he getting a load management day? Is he not going to come out? But lo and behold, he jogged out, made it. So no worries out there about Eric Gentry. He is good to go.
Nice. Do you have anything to add from the game, India?
It was exciting. It was my first time. I wasn't at the Coliseum for their first game, but I was there for this Georgia Southern game. The boos were great. I was like, okay, the Trojan fans are in it. I like it. We're ready to go. But yeah, I thought I was a little like, in the 2nd quarter. I thought that Georgia Southern's offense had a good little run where they were kind of picking apart the Trojans' defense a little bit, but then they got it together. It was exciting to just see another dominant showing. But again, the real season kind of begins on Saturday on the road with Purdue. I think that they'll get that handled and handle business. But some good things. I saw a lot of good things, and I'm excited, to see where the Trojans go this season.
Yeah, I think the most discouraging drive, as we were talking, in the 3rd quarter, they took over 6 minutes, a 15-play, 81-yard drive, and USC had rotated a bunch of guys in on defense there. But that was one of those ones where USC just scored. You get the ball back right away. Hassan Longstreet's coming in the game, and it's over. They gave up that really long touchdown, and then it was like, okay, it was a little closer than it needed to be. I think they weren't covering the spread at that point, and then USC scored the next couple of touchdowns. But that was one I think Danton Lynn would love to get back. But again, penalties were a big part of that too.
The penalties were bad. I was like, how many face mask penalties are we going to get? And it was the same. It was literally the same player on the other team. So I was starting to think maybe something's wrong with his helmet. It was the same guy getting his helmet off.
Yeah,
those were too many.
Yeah, 3 different hands to the face penalties. And I don't know if you guys can ask Danton Lynn about that or if that came up. And we'll probably get into the practice stuff next. But has that come up? I think Lincoln Riley addressed a little bit after the game. But that was one of those things where I don't know if it's a point of emphasis this season where they're calling more hands to the face, but it happened 3 different times, and
they were guilty. That's what I was wondering. Watching from the press box, you can't really see it, but watching on TV, they were guilty. And Riley did address it yesterday. He said it's not illegal to have your hands up there, but you got to get them down. You can't just stay up there. And the team stayed up there, and honestly, they could have been called for 1 or 2 more, and Georgia Southern could have been called for 1 or 2.
Yeah, Shotgun had a good photo of someone getting hands to the face that didn't get called.
But very early there was one that didn't get called, so I'm sure Helton and the staff for Georgia Southern was like, hey, watch that, and then they did, and then USC kept making those mistakes. 2 other quick things. I thought the offensive line looked good, and then USC was always going to win against Georgia Southern going away. I'm not trying to say that wasn't going to happen, but they did get a little lucky when it was 24-13 and Georgia Southern had that 4th and 2. Danton Lynn dials up the blitz. Clay Helton, to his credit, their offensive coordinator, Will something, I think, or I forget his name. Maybe Ryan Appling might be his name. Called a really good play where the quarterback rolled out and he had his running back open and he had a blocker. If he catches the ball, that might have been a touchdown. He definitely would have gotten the first, and then he dropped it. So that was kind of the end of the game there. But USC, of course, it would have mattered if they had scored. They would have just outmanned them in the second half. But
Yeah.
they did get a tiny bit lucky there on that defensive stand. I would have liked to have seen the defense make a play rather than Georgia Southern just drop the ball. But sometimes, hey, it's better to be lucky than good.
Yeah.
That Jacoby's touchdown too, I was going crazy. I was like, oh my goodness, that was a crazy.
That was
one-handed
pretty
pass.
sick.
That was my highlight of the game for sure. That
Was there
awesome.
any thought with you guys that they were going to call offensive pass interference on that? I'm glad they didn't. They were kind of both going back at it, and I was like, these refs can't take that
Yeah,
off the board.
I was like, there's no way. Not in
No,
the
that would
Coliseum.
be
They're not
bad.
taking that
No.
away.
His
What
first two
what a
catches,
catch.
he was interfered with, and the one
Second one he kind of pushed off, but he was interfered with first.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then his one arm is just kind of being tangled up, and it was almost like he was letting it go. Like, yeah, I don't need this one. I'm just gonna stick up my big right paw and then bring this one down,
That
which
was
he
crazy.
did. Obviously, really sick. Some of the still images from that,
So
and
cool.
they made like paintings out of it and everything. So it was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool moment. It was good. I think I think the run games looked good the first couple games, and to get some huge pass plays, 62 yards to Mekhi Lemon, 74 yards to Mekhi Lemon. They get the tight ends involved, 3 different tight ends scoring touchdowns. So I think you've put enough offensively on tape that if you're Purdue, there's a lot of things you're going to have to look at. You're not just focusing on Wayman Jordan or Eli Sanders catching balls out of the backfield. It could be Jacoby Lane jump balls. It could be Mekhi Lemon catching the ball and underneath and just running through everybody. It could be any of the tight ends. I think that's they've had a lot of different guys score touchdowns through the first 2 games, put up a whole bunch of points, and you gave people opposing defenses a really lot to look at going forward. And your quarterback played clean, and even that throwaway where USC got their only field goal, didn't force it in and just took the points. And I think you're going to need that in Big Ten play.
I think that was good. I wonder if Riley said that they didn't like one of Mayaba's decisions, and it could have been that, or it could have been when he threw across his body in the third.
I think it was the
quarter
across the body one that could have been picked.
when it hit off the guy's foot.
Yeah.
Riley
a
looked
better
in-
team
in-
probably could have picked it off.
In real time, Riley looked really upset at that decision to throw the ball away. I think he felt like they had Lake McCree if he just went right to him right away, and he could have picked up the first. But either way, I would love to know which decision it was. But in real time, Riley looked up at the video board, and he kind of looked dismayed after Mayava threw the ball away. But I agree with you. Better than a pick.
Yeah, if you miss your first read and, okay, you didn't get the guy open, but now he's not open anymore, okay, that's on you. Are you going to throw good money after bad and then now force it in somewhere? No, it's like, okay, you missed this first read, could have had a first down or touchdown or whatever. Nothing else is there, just throw it away instead of forcing it in. And, yeah, so I got no issues with that. Like,
He's looked great so far, I think, in the season.
yeah, he's looked really good.
Yeah.
Well, you guys were out at practice yesterday.
Yeah.
What are some of the takeaways? I know there was some dance moves going on and instant analysis. That was a first for me, I think, to see that. But you guys both dance at the end? I don't know. Like,
Chris is a better dancer than I am. Yeah, Micah Benuelos broke down his oos dance that he does. He did it against Missouri State when King Miller ran for that long touchdown, and then he got the game ball after recording his first ever start against Georgia Southern, and he did the oos dance right in Lincoln Riley's face. It's hilarious. If you go on Instagram and look at the game ball video, I couldn't stop laughing at that. So Chris and I were talking about that, and then lo and behold, they let Benuelos speak with us after practice yesterday, and he did the dance for Chris, so he's not shy breaking it down. Micah Benuelos, yeah, hilarious. Look at Chris's Twitter feed if you want to see the clip. Kind of a funny gyration. Is that how you describe it?
sure, I think that would be fair.
He really shakes it. So
I should have downloaded the video, put it for our audience, but my apologies. Yeah, go check Chris Trevino's Twitter, and he's got it.
It's
on
worth the watch.
Yes, but on a more serious note, so Micah Benuelos starts at right guard, takes over for Lonnie Noah, and I asked Justin Tawanu'u, the starting right tackle, what it's like to play next to Micah, and he had a huge smile on his face and was like, I love playing next to Micah. He's physical. He does all the right things. Like, we feel really comfortable together. And Lincoln Riley said that they still feel like they have a top 7 and the competition at right guard and center is ongoing. But how can you not feel like they found their best 5 after the Georgia Southern game? We'll see against better competition, but Micah Benuelos, I'd be shocked if he didn't start again after Purdue. Lincoln Riley said he looked really good in the film that they watched. So I feel like they've found their best five, and Riley's just trying to keep everyone on the boat, keep everyone still involved. But, like, unless there's an injury, I don't really see Alani Noah or Big General Reed playing. But I don't know. Maybe if it's a blowout, of course. But when, like, the first-team offensive line is out there, even though Riley said that they're still working through it yesterday, I kind of feel like they've found their best five.
And it's not the five. This is certainly not the five we
It's not the
thought,
five that any of us thought.
or the positions where they'll all be playing.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't what we thought, but, you know, I think you have a new offensive line coach with Zach Hansen, and, you know, you trust his ability to, you know, scout his own guys and develop them and put them in positions to win. And it's, you know, we always talk about the offensive line. It's like 5 fingers on a hand. You could have 5 great individuals, but they don't necessarily play together well. And so they're working not just, hey, who's the most talented, who's playing well, but then how do you interact with the guys that are going to be next to you? And, you know, did I think Tobias Raymond was going to be no, I didn't think I thought he was going to be the right tackle, you know. And so there's guys that are moved around a little bit, but you have to find that pattern that's going to work for everybody. And like you said, I think they found it, and that's part of the reason why you got these first couple games, you know, that can be sort of scrimmage-like. You can play some different guys and see and you know, experiment a little bit. I think the Benuelos one, after, like, there were some surprises in week 1, that was another surprise in week 2. But you know, he gets a game ball. Obviously, they feel pretty confident that he did a good job there. So yeah, I think that's what we're going to see going into Big Ten play. And unless there's a situation where something's just breaking down, I think that's what they're going to roll with going forward.
If you look at the schedule, there isn't really a scary front for a little bit. Like, there's some good players on Illinois. They have a really good edge rusher in Gabe Jacas. And Michigan, they lost most of their front to the NFL draft from last year. They'll still be good, of course. But, like, I look at Notre Dame. I look at Iowa's has a pretty good front. And then Oregon, like, the runway for this offensive line is even a little bit longer than the first 4 games. So I was very critical of just the position that the line was in heading into the year. I always maintained that they could be good, and through 2 games, they've been really good. It's a huge X factor on the season, just how well this group does against better competition. Purdue, they had one edge guy get a couple sacks late against Southern Illinois, but that's a roster that's just so turned over from last year. They've added some guys from the portal who are decent, but, like, it's another game where USC, even with an offensive line that's inexperienced, should have a lot of success. So we'll see how they do on the road, but I'd expect, based off the 2 weeks that I've seen from this offensive line, I still think USC should have a good game from the offensive line this week.
Yeah. Anything else from, I know the travel, we could talk about that.
Yeah, travel and maybe some injury updates, not that there were a ton, but what happened last year when USC didn't win outside of LA in the Big Ten? Everyone that we would hear from and talk to and on the message boards, they got to leave a day earlier, they got to leave a day earlier, they got to leave a day earlier. Well, they're still leaving Friday. So sorry if that frustrates people out there, but that is what they're doing. Lincoln Riley said, we don't want to travel first thing in the morning, so they're going to practice in LA Friday and then travel later in the day, get there a little bit later Friday, sleep, and play the next day. So that's been a big debate on the Peristyle. Are they doing the right thing? Are they doing the wrong thing? They've really emphasized getting enough sleep. I'm sure every program's doing that, but that's been a big emphasis for the guys, like the recovery and how important sleep is and nutrition. So they're working on that. They've changed some mealtime stuff around. They got a bigger play-in this year for some of the bigger bodies on the team. But Ryan, I think you put it best when we were talking off the air. They've made some changes, but it doesn't really feel like they've made a ton of changes.
It doesn't, yeah, it feels like they knew they needed to make some changes, and there's like an announcement of changes, but, you know, it's like, okay, they're going to make sure, like, the 9-0 closes at midnight instead of whatever on
Thursday. They
Thursday.
Don't go to the 9-0.
I'm just kidding. But, yeah, like, it's one of those things. India's laughing because she's on her way there after the show.
Exactly. Can we wrap this up?
Yeah. Yeah. I would have loved to just say, yeah, we're leaving on Thursday. Like, just that would have been
when Michigan State comes to USC for that late game, they're leaving 2 days before. They're giving themselves some time to get acclimated. Which is
weird. Like the 8 p.m. game, I almost would advocate just leave that morning. Like leave Saturday morning because it's like you're playing at 8 p.m. It's like 11 p.m. your time. As long as you have some sort of plan and, if there's probably some science behind it. There's different, people talk about you should practice in the morning, you practice in the afternoon. There's, different studies that have been done. But this seems more like window dressing. You're not really changing a lot as far as they practiced before and would fly out. And, we'll see what ends up happening this year. But the road thing has been a problem. And, we were on a text thread this morning, and USC did win on the road outside of the Pacific time zone back in 2023 against Colorado. But if you're going to Central and, not Mountain, if you're going Central and Eastern, it was, I believe, 2012 against Syracuse. They played in 2011. That's the last time they won at Notre Dame. So it's been a long time since that. And then against a Big Ten team, it was Minnesota in 2010 on the road there. But, it's been tough traveling multiple time zones. And so here's an opportunity to travel multiple time zones against an opponent. I mean, obviously they should have won last year at Maryland at the very least. You could have won other games too, having those fourth quarter leads. So it's just going to be all right, you've announced some changes. It doesn't seem like it's that big of a change. Just go out and win the games. And if you go out and win the games, no one's going to say you should fly out Thursday. But if you lose to if you lose to Purdue,
everybody's going to say fly out Thursday.
Hey, no, you should have flown out Thursday. Yeah. And then at that point, you just should do it anyway, even if you think it's the wrong thing. Just we just got to fly out Thursday and shut people up.
And just looking at the Purdue matchup, I know we'll dig into it a little deeper later, but that's a roster that reminds me of Colorado from a couple years ago, Arizona State from a couple years ago, where they're trending in the right direction, but it's very early in a rebuild, and pretty much across the roster, every single one of USC's players I think you'd rather have on the two deep than one of Purdue's players. So the only way you would lose this game is if you just lay an absolute stinker. I would be shocked if they lost this game to Purdue after what I've seen from Purdue so far this season. Yes, the time zone stuff is concerning. Barry Odom is a good coach. Josh Henson knows a lot about what USC does. There are some factors in Purdue's favor, but if we're talking strictly personnel, which I think is the most important thing in college football, who has the better players?
Yeah.
USC does by a mile in this game. And again, there's no one, when you look at the Purdue roster, Devin Mockabee is a good running back. I'd rather have Wayman Jordan. And I don't think there's anyone else where it's even really a debate on that roster. USC just has more talent. So the question that I have going into this game is it going to look like Arizona State? Is it going to look like Colorado, where USC won convincingly, but it was really ugly? And Colorado, they let them get back into that game. The second half against Arizona State was pretty ugly, but USC just outmanned them. Or is USC going to look like the well-oiled machine that they've looked like here in the first 2 weeks? Because if they look like the well-oiled machine, then I think, here we go. This team has a chance to be really, really good. If they're still working out some kinks and it's not as clean as we would hope, I still think they'd win. I'd be very surprised if they didn't win this game.
Yeah.
But how it looks, style points in this game are going to mean everything. And just nationally, there's people in the Big Ten, on the Big Ten Network. I was watching the Purdue Southern Illinois game. The color analyst for that game said, I think Purdue has a chance to upset USC, which I try not to be a homer. That would just totally, totally surprise me based on their personnel. They don't have good enough players to do that. So maybe I'm just going to be a big jinx and Purdue will win and everyone can blame me. But I just think in my head, the way this goes, USC wins, and it's a matter of, is it an ugly win or is it a good win? And if it's a good, clean win, sky's the limit, I think.
Barry Odom does a great job. He turned things around at UNLV. He actually coached Jaden Mayava.
Yep.
They went to the Mountain West Championship game his freshman season. And like you mentioned, Josh Henson being over there as the play caller and coaching the tight ends. I believe, he was USC's offensive coordinator, but in name only, because Lincoln Riley called all the plays. He was also the offensive line coach. I think getting a Purdue team, it wasn't going to be like what Kirk Cignetti did at Indiana, where he came over. They were 3-9, and they go to the playoff, and he brought over a lot of that James Madison team. Odom did bring over a bunch of guys from UNLV, but it wasn't the same caliber of players. I think getting Purdue early, they're 2-0. They've already doubled the win total from last year. They were 1-11 last year, so he's already improved. You're fine. I don't think this is like an upset candidate here. I think later in the season they'll probably play better, and the longer he has with these guys, I think the better it's going to be. He might cause some problems for some teams on the schedule later in the season, so it's probably better that USC gets them early. But I agree with you. It's just one of those things where you have to get the win because you just struggled to travel. If you don't get the Purdue road win, then there's
all bets are off.
Yeah, like there's no games on the schedule that you can guarantee yourself winning. So you have to go get it. But I think it's important to have some style points and look good doing it, feel good about your performance. If you have some things like you just played against Georgia Southern and there's some things to clean up, that's fine. That's normal. But you want to be like, hey, the offense still worked. The defense made a bunch of plays. They didn't let Purdue hang around and have to hold on in the fourth quarter. You don't want anything like that going into this. So I think there's a lot of factors that are going good. And Purdue's going to be a better team with Barry Odom as head coach. But this is their third game. They weren't like dominating the first two against lesser opponents. USC should go in there and get a victory. It's just, how is that going to look? Are they going to be able to win by 3 or 4 touchdowns, which they really should? I'm not going to predict that they're going to when we do the stuff at the end, just because USC's had road troubles. But I think ideally you just want to go in there and show like, hey, we are a team to be reckoned with. You go into Purdue and just win convincingly, more people, I think you'll get ranked. Not that matters that much, but it matters some, and you want to get in there, be recognized. And there are some people talk about USC as like, hey, they could be like the number 4 team in the Big Ten. And there's other people that have them like 8 or 9. The way they've looked so far, I think you have to have them up there. And there's some teams, that people have had them like Michigan that just hasn't looked very good. But this is like the next step. And you'd rather get this win and look, play to somewhere near your potential. Don't screw up and play below your level. Because as Connor said, talent level is very high much higher than Purdue is. So make it look like that. Make the game look like, yes, we have better players. If you make it look like you got better players, but this team's better coach, that's not really what you want.
I see this game being like the classic Lincoln Riley coach game when we think about Riley's history, where it's explosive offense and then some defensive miscues. I still think the defense is getting up to speed, and there's some players on Purdue's offense that are good enough to make USC make some mistakes. I think they'll be able to score some points, but not to compare him to Georgia Southern, but I kind of feel like it's going to go a similar way, where USC is just so explosive on offense with those skill guys, and the offensive line has been solid, where I expect points, and if USC gives up some points and the defense kind of makes you scratch your head at times, that ends up being okay because the offense is so explosive, and that's sort of how I see this game going, and that might be the recipe for success for this team based off of the first 2 games. We'll see how everything evolves, and I do expect the defense to be more buttoned up, but based off of 2 games, it kind of does look like that classic Lincoln Riley coach program where the offense is awesome, the defense has a couple things that make you shake your head, but make enough plays to still have a good record.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Nice. Any thoughts on Purdue, India?
I think that we're going to win. I have a score prediction, but I think we can.
I haven't really thought about that yet. Is the spread 21.5?
It went down to 20.5 last I checked. Let me see now. I'll get an updated
21.5. I was definitely going to take the points. Just I think
stayed at 20.5.
20.5.
I'm thinking 38-14.
All right. So covering.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're covering for sure.
I think last year I predicted USC to cover the Maryland spread, the Minnesota spread. It was just got burned a lot of these road games. So until they go out and win a road game, I think I'm just taking 20 points or whatever. I'm going to take that.
Yeah, I'm covering.
And we'll just figure out what happens from there. If I'm wrong, it's fine. Then USC won by 3 or 4 touchdowns. Great. That's what they should do. But until they do it, I'm like, I'm not.
You got to see it first. I get it.
Yeah. I agree with Connor, though, just watching some of the Purdue games. It's just, I think they're a better coach team. They're going to be a better team this year, but USC should outclass them. And can you go on the road and do it? Just we haven't seen them do it yet. So if they do this one, I think that's a really good sign if they can go out and cover this spread. They're 2-0 covering.
I'm going 3-0 covering.
Huh?
I'm going 3-0 covering.
I think they will. All right. That's cool.
This is the one spread that's gone in the other direction, where it started at 21.5 and it went down to 20.5. I'm going to pick them to cover 2 when we do the picks. I also pay attention to a betting formula, and they think USC is going to win by 25. But kind of sounds like we're saying everything we said last year. So I definitely get what you're saying, Ryan.
Yeah.
You got to
Like,
see.
oh, yeah, they should beat Maryland by
Right.
17 or whatever the heck
That
it
game
was.
was
It was like
crazy.
16 and a half. I forget what the spread was, but it was something. Yeah, you should beat Maryland by that. And that didn't happen.
And Purdue did a better job against Southern Illinois after their first two drives. But Southern Illinois, first drive, pick up a 3rd and 9, pick up a 3rd and 6, first and goal, quarterback runs in for a touchdown. Second drive, 63-yard gain for Southern Illinois in the first play, and then they scored 2 plays later. Like, if Southern Illinois is getting explosive chunk plays early against Purdue at Purdue, what the hell is USC going to do?
Yeah.
And the transitive property in football doesn't always apply. I get it. Just because Southern Illinois had success doesn't guarantee USC is going to have success. I just have such a hard time not thinking that if that team out-schemed Purdue for 2 touchdowns, Lincoln Riley and all of his offensive genius and all the coaches that they have, like, they're just going to be able to have some success. And, again, I don't think the personnel for Purdue is any good. That game, if you watched it, was also awfully officiated, where Purdue got bailed out on like 4 calls. The Southern Illinois coach was having like a aneurysm on the sideline yelling at the refs, and usually I'll say just, be quiet and play, but he was getting totally jobbed. There was a lot I didn't like. Purdue, they have not been able to run the ball explosively. If you look at the stats, they ran the ball well against Southern Illinois, but they really struggled to run it against Ball State, and they don't get explosive chunk plays in the run game like USC does. Those only come from them in the pass game. If they had a running back who was more explosive, I'd say, okay, maybe I could see it being a cover, but there's just so many things to me that unless USC chokes on the road, that's the one bugaboo that certainly could be in play. But just looking at this matchup analytically, looking at what Purdue's done, looking at the personnel,
Yeah.
I just really like USC. And the one thing that Purdue does have going for them, they don't get penalized a lot. I think they're number 1 in the Big Ten right now in fewest penalties per game, but they haven't gone up against anyone good, so that might change. But Barry Odom deserves a lot of credit. He's already doubled the win total.
Yeah.
I buy what he's doing. Like, I think Purdue has a chance to maybe get to 5 to 7 wins this year. Like, I don't think they're an awful team by any stretch, but like, if USC is as good as they've looked these first 2 weeks, I really like them to cover.
So your one concern is USC choking on the road.
That's my one concern.
Guess what they only did last year?
Yep. Well, they're doing all these new changes. I don't know if you've heard of
I
them.
heard, yeah.
Right.
Bigger plane. Just
Leaving
leave
the
a
same
day
day.
early. It's not that big of a deal. Georgia Southern stayed in California for a week.
Yeah, how'd that work out for them?
Yeah, it looked okay. They were up 6-0. Yeah, that the extra rest and beach time helped for a little bit at first. Yeah, I don't think it matters that much. It's more just perception. But
As you said, if they win and take care of business on the road all year, nobody cares. But if they don't,
Right.
everybody cares.
it was last year, you had to do something different. And I think just different strength and conditioning, all that. Like, I think there's changes that were made in the offseason that are, I think, going to help this team on the road. He seems pretty defiant though on like Flying Fridays for whatever reason. Like, it's what some coaches can be super stubborn about stuff for like dumb reasons a lot of times, and you're like, I'm not saying that's what this is, but there's a little sense of it, like, like the Washington game where everyone was saying USC should run the ball because Washington has the number 1 pass defense in the country, and USC had like their most lopsided passing performance in the first half in that game. You're like, not only did they not run the ball, they threw the ball more than they did in like any other game, and that just almost seemed like, I'm going to show you, and this might be the same thing. Like, I'm going to show you, we can still leave on Friday. That's just no inside information there. That's just a feeling.
Against Steve Belichick's defense, how's Steve Belichick's defense look this year?
Not so great.
Not so great. Purdue has some good receivers. They have Michael Jackson. They have
former
a guy,
Trojan. Okay.
Ahmad Branch, who's had some success. Nitro Tuggle was a really highly ranked recruit who was at Georgia and transferred to Purdue. But, like, even though I have some questions about USC's corners, there's not a matchup in that receiver room that it's like, oh, they're going to be in trouble here. They're decent. They can make you pay, but they're not exceptional. Their quarterback, Ryan Brown, he runs. He is a 6-year guy. He's experienced. This is his first year starting to begin the season. So
he started a couple games last year, right?
Yeah.
And then transferred out and then transferred back.
Yes, transferred to Bill Belichick, said, I see what's going on here. Get me the hell out of here. And then went back to Purdue. So, like, they could, in theory, keep it competitive, but I just am banking on a really explosive offensive performance from USC as we've seen the last 2 weeks. And I just think that's just going to be what USC does this year. They're going to outgun these teams who they're better then personnel-wise, kind of like 2 years ago when even though that season wasn't great, but like a Colorado game, like an Arizona State game where, yes, those games were ugly on the road, but USC just outmanned them. I see that happening here.
All right. Well, I know we got a lot of questions, so India, why don't we take a
Little break.
quick break and come on back.
We are back.
Right. Yeah, we're back. I don't know if you want to do it. I do it. Whatever. We took a little break. If you're watching on video on YouTube or Facebook, it wasn't really long of a break, but we're here. We're ready. We got questions to get to. Like I said at the top of the show, a bunch of voicemails, a bunch of emails and texts. So we'll try to get to all of them. And if you have questions in the chat, India has been starring them as we go, and she'll pull them up afterwards as well. You can keep putting questions in there too. We just want to get these guys to practice on time. So last week they sort of missed the beginning, but you know.
It's all right. We
It's
can't
okay.
watch anything anyway.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
valuable to see him come out.
Yeah, that's why I don't go anymore. It's like, well, I'm going to just like, yeah. It's dumb that they don't let us watch the stretching.
is
I could
silly.
take some photos and do some videos and stuff. So it's just kind of like.
We want to see the
I
stretching.
think it's dumb. Yeah, I think there's a bad decision. It's been mostly good with stuff. This is just kind of silly that they don't let you watch stretching during the season, but whatever. That's just me.
I'm with you.
All right, let's get into our first voicemail.
All right.
Hey, Peristyle, Rick from Vista. I got a question. I appreciate everything you guys do. I'd like to know how our recruits that came in this year have done. I know it's only a few games in, but can you give us an idea on how they worked out? I saw Thanos hasn't played much, but has he been impactful? And what I know is about Lockhart, because he was a 5-star next year, and he reclassified, so I thought he would step right in and be a big competitor, and I haven't heard anything about him. So I'd like to know what your thoughts on that. Also, the offensive line, I'm really concerned about them. I don't know if they're going to get much better. Well, I'm sure they'll get better, but just like to know your thoughts on the offensive line, and to know who's graduating this year and who's got the lengthy stay. Oh, and Wamu, kind of curious. I mean,
Anything
isn't
else,
he a
Rick?
JC player? Doesn't that mean that if he was a JC player, he doesn't count that year? So does that mean we have him for 3 years? I would like to know. Thank you. Bye.
That's
All right. So
Let's focus the voicemails a little more, Rick. You kind of go in like 5 different directions. So let's try to like keep it to one thing.
And I
And
think
he had another voicemail before. I had to like, it's okay. So
I think he meant R.J. Sermons instead of Brandon Lockhart.
Yeah.
Do you want me to run through the true freshman
Sure,
quick?
go ahead. Just do it fast. Yeah.
Okay, Hassan Longstreet, I think we all agree, has looked good as the backup quarterback. Jakeem Stewart made his debut against Georgia Southern.
He was
and-
banged up in the first game.
Yep, banged up in the first game. He got off to a slow start, was in on a tackle for loss late. I think the learning curve with him will be steep, but the staff clearly likes him, and he's going to be out there all the time. Alex Payne will redshirt the offensive tackle. Matai Tagaoi, I keep saying his name wrong. It's in the pronunciation guide. I got to
Togia,
get better
or
at that. It's like Tagoai. Like you got to say all the syllables.
Okay.
But anyway, he has looked good as a reserve linebacker. There's a small chance he could get real snaps later this season. I like what I've seen from him. Aaron Dunn, the offensive tackle, he unfortunately lost his spot as the second team left tackle, getting replaced by Elijah Vicona. So he's like Payne. I expect him to redshirt. Treston Castro, cornerback, expect him to redshirt. Alex Graham won USC's starting nickel job, but got hurt. So he was out the first 2 games and didn't practice yesterday, so he might still be out. Romero Eisen, the receiver, expect him to redshirt. R.J. Sermons, he's been banged up. The cornerback, I heard he's had a little bit of a challenging time getting up to speed at USC, which has to do with the fact that he reclassified. So he's been playing.
Sorry.
It's okay. He's been playing when he's been healthy a little bit on special teams, so we'll see if he ends up redshirting or not. Tanu Kynes is a starting wide receiver for USC, or he's the third receiver if they play a third receiver, so he's been awesome. D. Reddick has been hurt. The safety, the staff has really high expectations for him. Safety Steve Miller looks like a redshirt guy. Wide receiver Corey Sims might be a redshirt guy. Floyd Boucard, the defensive lineman, is in the rotation. He's been awesome. Cash Jacobson's been hurt, the defensive lineman. Nella Tupou, the tight end, special teams, potential redshirt guy. Riley Wormley, the running back's hurt. So haven't seen him. Harry Dalton played in the second game, didn't play in the first. He looks like a redshirt candidate. AJ Tuatele, the linebacker, looks like a redshirt candidate. A lot of guys here. Elijah Vicona, the offensive tackle, he looks really good. He looks like the best of the bunch out of the freshman offensive linemen so far. He's been awesome, way outplaying his rankings. So I wanted to shout him out. Wayman Jordan is technically listed here, but probably shouldn't be. USC starting running back. Willie Washer will redshirt as the reserve center. James Johnson, the defensive back, is playing a little bit on special teams and is a guy for the future. Jane Ramos, the defensive end, will redshirt. Gus Cordova will redshirt. So that was a lot, but hope that provided some context on those guys. Yeah, a lot of guys in 2025. And then he wanted to know about the offensive line. We talked about that a little bit. I think they've looked good.
Yeah, I think, you might have concerns before, but you should have less concerns now, I would say. And Wayman Jordan does. He's the first transfer running back to actually have more seasons after this first. He's not a one and done like the other guys, like Marshawn Lloyd and Travis Dye and Woody Marks. Like those guys were one and done guys. Jordan has like two or three more, two more. Years.
Well, it's confusing how they'll be counted. So he's a junior right now. I think he'll get 1 year for sure. So he could potentially play. He could technically be a sophomore right now because of that JUCO ruling, but he might go to the NFL after this year. He's been that good. So I wouldn't plan on having him for as long as his clock goes. I think he'll leave early, whether it's after this season or after next season. So he has 2 more years and could get a third with the JUCO, but don't expect that to happen because he's so good.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's why this show is great. We answer every question we get.
We got another voicemail.
Hello, Trojan Pod. Hey, this is for Ryan and Triple Double. Eddie from Orange, giving you a voicemail, giving you a call right now. Had a question, how crazy is this that this game against Purdue has so many different interwoven storylines for a game between 2 unranked teams, who I guess were projected to be pretty mid to low in conference. How cool is it that you got the Mayava connection to UNLV and Odom, and then you have the old OC at Purdue was the O-line coach at USC, and Lincoln Riley fired the brother of the Purdue head coach. I mean, crazy, right? Have you seen such a low drama sports-wise game have so many back end ties to it before, Ryan? You've been around for 30 years now, so maybe you have a little more insight than the rest of the crew. Eddie from Orange.
Thanks, Eddie. At least he wasn't running this time. I think he's reaching a little. You're trying to find some. There's some good storylines. It's some stuff to make it interesting. I think the biggest one is just that to see Barry Odom come in and take the worst team in the conference and try to make them more respectable. And we'll see how this season plays out, and obviously how they play this Saturday. But Michael Jackson was at USC, went to Georgia, ends up at. He's been a big player for them, so that'll be, somewhat interesting. But, if Josh Henson was USC's actual offensive coordinator and was calling plays, that might make it a little more kind of interesting. Maybe the offensive line, I think, are they going to want to play better? I don't know. I think Eddie might be reaching a little bit. These aren't amazing storylines. These are both 2-0 teams, though. That's cool. And USC wasn't really expected to be mid. They people thought they'd be pretty good this year, so.
You say mid?
Mid, yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
Is that what the kids say?
Yeah.
Cool.
Good terminology.
Me and India, we know that.
Yeah. When Eddie asked that, I just think of Nick Saban and all the guys that he's rehabilitated who've gone on and done great things. Lane Kiffin was there, right? And then they would coach against each other.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's happened all the time. So there are a lot of connections. But this game, it's certainly unique with the player connections and the coaching connections, too. But in college football, they're just only a certain amount of coaching trees, and a lot of times they do overlap. So this does happen sometimes. And in the portal, you're going to be getting a lot of guys going against their former teams. That happens a lot too. But it is cool to see. I agree.
Yeah. What was he talking about? The brother? That he...
Remember the linebacker coach at USC?
Oh, yes. Okay.
Brian Odom, I think.
Yeah,
and he's now at Washington coaching with Taylor Mays. And the old Purdue coach, Ryan Walters,
is the defensive coordinator there.
Is the defensive coordinator with Jed Fish and someone else there. I forget. But it's all interwoven in college football.
Yeah. Odom was Clay Helton coach, if I remember right. Like, was he? No, Riley's first year.
He was Riley's first year.
Okay.
Because the only guy they kept was Dante.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. God, it's just hard to
keep track
They
of it
completely
all.
did the whole defensive staff, so that wasn't yeah. That was a good one. Okay, yeah, so did fire his brother, but I don't know. Just so we were at Big Ten Media Day, there was a Las Vegas radio station that was set up next to our table area where we were doing our interviews. And there was a lot of just, when I talked with Coach Harvey Hyde, a lot of people in Vegas just loved Barry Odom. Yeah, he took a bunch of the players and everything, but they didn't blame. I mean, he came in and just turned things around really quickly there. So they really think of him in high regard. And so I think he's going to do a really good job at Purdue. If you want to play them, this is the best time to play them, like right out of the gate. Like, they might be a lot better team like later in the season, but as of right now, I don't think they're going to have the horses. And I think a year or two down the road, they're not going to be certainly the bottom dweller of the Big Ten like they were last year.
I'm with you. I like Odom a lot. I think he's a good coach.
Yeah.
And then we got one last voicemail.
All right.
Hey, Ryan, it's Curtis. I hope these first two games don't turn out to be fool's gold because we always play cupcakes every season, but we never beat up on them this bad. So is our offense really this good? What do you guys think? Curtis from Moreno Valley.
So, Curtis, are you calling LSU a cupcake?
Oh, boy.
A little bit of an extra.
Wow, he's like
Thank you.
I thought he was like live calling for a second.
he hung on for a little bit.
Thank you for
there.
the call. I want to know, did he ever hop out of the transfer portal?
He hasn't officially announced he's out of the portal. So, fool's gold, though. Yeah, I mean, I think you want to. You want to dominate those games. USC did. I don't think it can be a barometer for the rest of the season. This used to happen when USC used to play Stanford, like game 2. Sometimes they'd lose that game and look way better the rest of the season. Sometimes they'd win that game. You think they're going to be great, and they would stink the rest of the season. I think perfect situation is you just look good in both of those games. That's like ideal. It doesn't mean that you're going to go undefeated or you're going to make the playoff or anything. But to make the playoff and to go undefeated, you probably needed to look really good in those two games. So I think that's what you did. You did what you needed to do. There's more things you need to do, but I think it's a positive sign that USC looked as good as it did the first two games.
I think the offense is good. I don't think it's as good as they've shown in the first two games. They're not going to do that every week, but it's certainly a good offense. And we always look at NFL caliber players, and maybe Jade Mayava can get there, but certainly Mekhi Lemon is an NFL guy, and Jacoby Lane is an NFL guy. I think Wayman Jordan is an NFL guy. Elijah Page has the potential to be an NFL guy. Like, there's some real studs on that offense. And yes, we have some questions about the line moving forward, so we'll see how they do. But in times of trouble, you can always rely on those alphas. And the fact that USC has a group of them, it's going to be a good offense.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into some email questions. We got some questions via email. Dear Ryan, triple-double and automatic. So, how do you get into the offensive backfield without putting your hands in someone's face mask? Signed, the USC defensive line. Stephen Poway?
Yes,
Stephen
nice. Funny one. Just when you get up there, just put them down.
Yeah, that was a weird one. Like, sometimes they come in bunches, and you're like, oh, and you wonder if the referees are, looking for it. But if Clay Helton pointed it out early in the game, that's one of those things that you're just like, hey, you're going to coach that up this week. You can't do that anymore. I don't expect more than one to happen this week. If it does, then that's a real concern.
3 was crazy, yeah.
Yeah, but thanks, Steve.
All right, let's get into some more.
Yeah.
Who is that guy who stands right behind Coach Riley during games and pats him repeatedly on the shoulder all the time? What is it for, and can I get one? Frank in Sacramento.
That's Les Snead, the general manager of the Rams' son. I think Logan Snead is his name. And
Okay.
he just lets Riley know how much time is on the play clock so Riley can understand, okay, I have this much time until the helmet communication shuts off.
I think it's 15 seconds left, then there's no more communication. So just to give him an indication, like you have this much time to talk to your quarterback, and then it's cut off. And if you take too long, then you see the guys look confused and they're looking to the sideline or whatever. But they need to keep that crisp, and so he's helping with the timing.
And Weston Zernickel, USC's director of player personnel, he does that for Danton Lynn on defense.
Yeah.
Cool.
You can't talk to the
Important
players
roles.
like up until the ball is snapped or anything. You get, I think it's 15 seconds left in the
Yeah,
play
it cuts
clock.
out.
We got another one. Do you guys see the offense scoring at least 50 points again this week? Also thought it was interesting. Looking back at last year, the offense did not eclipse 50 points one time. So this year is already looking like a more typical Riley offense in more ways than one. Dylan in Albuquerque.
Dylan, who's also active in the chat, so thank you.
Shout out Dylan.
I don't know if they'll get to 50 this week, but I guess I don't rule it out after what I've seen the first couple weeks.
Yeah.
So I don't think so, but it's possible if they get some turnovers too. So we'll have to see on that. But I do think they can get in the 40s for sure.
Yeah, I think that'd be a really good sign if you can get into the 50s. Connor mentioned like up and down the roster, like USC has better players. The offense looked really good against overmatched opponents. I mean, if you got better players at every position, I think that's something you could do. That could end up being one of my 3 keys to victory. Just like go with pie in the sky. Like, look, this team should score 50 on Purdue. Do it. Like, that's what you got to do.
Manifest it.
I might just might. That might be my, key to victory. Score 50.
I like it.
I'm not predicting they're going to, but I think they should. So, yeah, just because of the road woes and everything.
Right, and they're leaving Friday,
Yeah, I like that. If they left Thursday, boom, they score
If they're
60.
if they're leaving Thursday,
Then automatically
60,
50.
yeah.
First off, you and Riley do a great job. Thank you. I was there at Galen when you hit the 2 3-pointers in the NCAA tournament game. Thank
So
you.
was I. That was
It
awesome.
got loud. You must get chills thinking about that day. It's one of the greatest moments of my life. That was cool. My question is, with Juju probably out for the year and with what players that the team lost, do you think the so-called experts are overlooking the team? There still looks to be a lot of talent. John and Torrance. Well, thank you for the
Thanks, John.
little memory stroll back to memory
We should have
lane.
pulled up some video of
I know, that would be cool next
of
time.
India putting those shots up.
the Galen Center went nuts when those shots went. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was a really cool moment for sure. Yeah, I think this team has a lot of talent. I'm really excited to see Jazzy Davidson, #1 recruit, coming into college this year. She's great, really versatile, and a really good learner, quick learner, and that's what it takes. Coming in as a freshman in college, like the speed is at a lot higher speed and more physical, and you have to learn things quickly. But I think I'm really excited to see her play. She was great watching her this summer with USA Basketball. So excited to see her progression and development this year. Obviously going to take on a bigger role if Juju's out the whole year. And so I'm really excited to see her. And then some other good pieces coming in. I think it's just a matter of putting the pieces together and seeing what Lindsay wants to run on offense, and the defense is going to be taken care of with Coach Beth Burns. She's a defensive guru, so the defense is going to look good, I'm sure. But yeah, I'm really excited to see the team. I think they're going to do well. And yeah, I think they obviously have not as high expectations going into the season, but I think that sometimes is a good thing when you have a little less pressure on you. And yeah, I'm excited to see how they plan out, and so I'll be at all the games, and I'm really excited. I think that we'll have a good year.
All right. Good stuff.
I think
Memory lane, love it.
exactly, a little jog down memory lane. That was awesome. Thank you for that. Okay, we got a text. Wow, okay. The gap control from last week on run defense seems to have gotten worse, not better. If Helton and crew can run all over the SC defense, what's going to happen when the big teams are on the other side of the line of scrimmage? Shotgun, GM, what's going on? Keith from Colorado.
Well, neither of us are shotgun or Gerard,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
we can
Sorry to put it in the wrong spot, but yeah, let's do it anyway.
answer. I do think there were some concerning moments, but if you look at it, I forget how many run plays they had of over 10 yards. I have to pull it up. That was kind of the worst of it. Maybe this defense is kind of like a bend but don't break thing and holding
There was
the
a little bit of that for
field
sure.
goals. So I don't know. It's not a great sign, but I didn't leave that game like some people were just panicking and like, oh, there's same defense, they're terrible. Like I trust the coaching staff. I do think they'll be more buttoned up. When they go up against better teams and the other team is just better, they might not win. But against teams that they should beat, I still feel really good about USC on both sides of the ball. So we'll see as the future goes on just kind of what that run defense looks like. But they're going to make adjustments. They have personnel that should lead to USC being better against the run. I'm certainly not panicking.
Yeah, they did. They rotated a lot of guys on defense early, where in the first game they sort of like stuck with a lot of the starters. Like in the second series, they started bringing guys in, and I think there were some issues there. I think it was like 6 or 7, explosive runs over 10 yards. But like I mentioned earlier, like having averaging 5 yards a carry on first down, that's not what you want to see, especially with an overmatched opponent. You want to be able to get some more run stuff. So if they're going to run the ball on 1st and 10, you want them in 2nd and 10 or 2nd and 9, and that just sets things up differently. And so being in a lot of 2nd and 4s and 5s and 6s, I think it helped the Georgia Southern offense. So that's one area, but they mixed guys up a little bit. You're not going to see the same kind of rotation. If you see that this week, and I think there's going to be some concerns there, but there was that, and I think we like this. Your middle linebacker Desmond Stevens. I think there were some gaps he missed, and there were some opportunities to sort of fill some holes. I think he did pretty good in the coverage game, but I think there was more opportunities when you're getting some of those runs up the middle. A lot of times you want that erased by the middle linebacker, and there was some. So I think there were some missed opportunities there as well.
He'll get better, I think, too.
Yeah.
And let's see, we've got 2 more questions.
Okay.
Question for the pod: Brian Jackson didn't get any touches against Georgia Southern. Is he in the doghouse? Also, why didn't Alani Noah play? Barry and Boren.
Noah did play. He was just a backup. We don't totally know why he didn't start. Lincoln Riley said that was an in-house decision, so Mike could have just beaten him out or something else was going on. I know Chris is trying to figure out exactly what happened with Alani Noah. And then Brian Jackson, not in the doghouse, he was hurt.
Yeah, so he didn't get to play. I was going to make something up, like he transferred out or something. Yeah, no. Yeah, he was banged up, and they don't really need him for the game. He scored a touchdown. He scored a touchdown in the
in the first game.
Yeah. So I think he'll be. I think he'll be used certainly situationally as well. With some of the short yardage stuff, they really like what he can do. So if he's healthy, he practiced yesterday, right? Or he came out yesterday.
Yep, came out.
So you should probably see him in this game.
And then this is our last email question. Then we'll get to some of the questions in the chat. Question to anyone who could provide clarity. What happened to the SoCal spell out? Was such a cool part of the game experience and have had many fond memories doing the spell out from the student section. I understand it's a tad wordy, but was a cool part of our tradition. Thanks for all the hard work, Carlos, class of 2013.
Let me, hold on.
Do you have an email?
I checked. I don't have. So I checked with someone in the band about this. We had a question too on the Peristyle where people are asking during Tusk, the tradition when, in the chorus or whatever, the student section would usually sing UCLA Sucks. And I don't know, was that happening for you guys, India? Was that something that you guys did or?
Yeah, that was something that we did for sure. I did hear, I was obviously in the student section this past game, but I heard looked like some students like in the section that I was in and they were singing it. So okay. I don't know. I couldn't hear like from the student section if that was happening during that last game, but yeah.
It was a big part of it before, and there were people asking it's not been as big of a deal. And the SoCal spell out, that was something, I don't know. They haven't really been doing that really, right, India?
I don't think so.
So I'm not sure why. I did email, my apologies, I emailed someone in the band when I saw the question.
Bring it back.
And they're usually pretty good about getting back to me on stuff. So I'll let you know if there was any decisions made or just whatever. But I'm not really sure on that one.
We'll
try to find out.
All right, let's get into some questions from the chat.
Yes, chat it up.
First question from Fight On Natties. Let me pull this up real quick. When do you see us getting a return on our investment on those 2 transfer D linemen?
I love the way you put it that way, return on investment, which is completely valid. Like it's real, like if you're paying money for guys and you want to see Yeah. I think Big Ten play, you'll see some.
I hope. I'm not crazy about either of those guys. So we'll see. I don't know if they'll ever totally live up to what you're hoping, but Silver, at a minimum, is a competent defensive lineman in the middle there who helps. Jamal Jarrett is kind of up and down. We don't have to relitigate this, but there were other defensive linemen I liked a little better in the portal that ended up not going to USC. So Silver, I think, has potential, and he was the number 1 ranked defensive lineman in the portal rankings for a reason. Through 2 games, though, he hasn't totally popped for me, and we'll see if he does better against the better teams on USC's schedule. But with me, I don't know. I was never really crazy about him. I think he's good, and that's kind of as far as I'll go.
Gotcha.
We've got one from Turnt Trojan. Do you think Desmond is ready to handle all the sideline communications while he's just starting to play the position?
He doesn't have the green dot. That's Kamari Ramsey who has the green dot. So Desmond Stevens, of course, as the Mike linebacker, sets up the front, but he gets to play from Ramsey. So they're not throwing a ton at him where he has the dot and has to do everything else.
Yeah.
But I think the staff, we got to trust the staff with this, where they felt like he was ready to be the starting Mike linebacker and do all the responsibilities that come with that. He's inexperienced. He's going to be learning on the fly a little bit, but they could have gotten a better Mike linebacker, or a more experienced Mike linebacker from the portal, and they thought Dez was the best they could do. So, and that's a good thing because he's a homegrown developmental guy. Like I think we got to trust the staff there.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to green dot him this year. I mean, maybe next year,
Lynn likes it with the safeties. I think it's going to be a safety.
If Lynn's still around.
True.
Yeah.
We've got a question from Loso. Is the plan to keep this team together for next year since most of the team is juniors? We saw the formula with Michigan and OSU.
I think that would be great, but it's such a year-to-year thing where some of the best guys could leave early for the draft, and
transfer portal.
Chad Bowden's going to try really hard to keep the best players at USC more so than they've done in the past, but if a guy wants to transfer, he could transfer. So I think that's the goal, but there's going to be some circumstances outside of USC's control with that.
Yeah, and I think this is a situation where if USC does, go out and maybe is knocking on the playoff door, but they're we're really close, or even, maybe sneaking into the playoffs or something and getting, maybe you beat Notre Dame on the road and lose to Oregon or something, you go 10-2, a really good season like that, to go from 6-6 to hey, this team made the playoffs or was really knocking on the door. I think that's something you can sell. And I think now you have a much better personnel department that, India mentioned the transfer portal. You're not going to let your best players go. If you think there's someone that can contribute to having a lot of success next year, you're going to put the resources in to keep that player around. And we did, we saw it a couple of years ago with Michigan and then Ohio State. And I think Penn State did it this year. And expectations are Penn State could make a run at the national championship. And I think if USC is in that boat, they would do. I think there's more confidence now that they would make the right moves to keep guys around, guys that could, if Wayman Jordan wanted to go to the NFL because he had a really good year, then they put a package together and sell them on, hey, this team is going to have a lot of success. You can improve your draft stock. You're going to make a bunch of money. So we've seen schools do that, and I think USC would, if they have a good year, they could be set up to do something very similar. So yeah, I think you have smart people making personnel decisions and not just throwing money or wherever. They're going to do whatever they can if they feel like these are pieces that can come back and help them make a run at a title. Then I think they would do that. So yeah, I think there's USC set up to do that if the season goes the way they think, and there might be some players that get offered so much money that you're just whatever, you're not going to do it. But most of these situations, you're going to it's going to be that decision to go at the pro or stick around. They'll put up some money to get those guys to stick around to just show you can have success the following year.
And we've got a question from Thack21. Over or under 500 total receiving yards for USC's tight ends? They have been under 300 yards each of Riley's 3 seasons. They haven't had over 500 yards since 2017 with Tyler Petit and Daniel
Imatorbhebhe.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. it got cut off there, but yeah, not the Vivian.
Oh, yeah. I was like, oh, what kind of? Okay.
What do they got so far? They already got 3 touchdowns. So, like, through 2 games, I'm not sure. I'm going to go over just because it seems like they're focusing on tight ends a little bit more. Now, maybe that's just what you're doing against the preseason, kind of opponents or whatever. But it seems like, and we talked to some of the tight ends, like they rave about Chad Savage. The fact that their position coach last year is now the offensive line coach, so they sort of got the blocking, pedigree from last year, and now you got Chad Savage. You're getting the more receiving kind of coaching going on now. So I'm going to go over 5.
Me too.
They're at like 165 yards right now. If Lake McCree stays healthy, I'll go over. If he doesn't, under.
But yeah, 165. If they haven't passed 300, and they've got 10 games left to do that, so they're more than halfway there. If they haven't got, so yeah, I think they could go over 500.
Lake is the key, though. He plays a ton, and if he gets hurt, that totally changes the offense. So it really relies on him for me.
Yeah, and I think you could, Walker Lyons can have some big plays too, because they're using the 12 personnel. They're using 2 tight ends more than what we see before. So just having more tight ends on the field give them some opportunities. So yeah, I'm going over.
Me too.
Injuries or whatever.
We've got one from Bryce. ESPN FPI seems really high on USC. When you look on their app at opponent matchups, they give USC a 66.7% chance to beat Illinois and an 87.7% chance to beat Michigan. Thoughts?
The analytics are high on USC. The pollsters are not right now, but like even the FP Plus, I think USC is like number 10. Yeah, because they've scored a ton of points in the first 2 games. Yeah, I think that. I mean, let's see what it says after the Purdue game. But as far as math goes, like if this was all formulas and not, USC is really high up there right now.
I just think back to after beating LSU, and then USC was in the college football playoff projections. Like early in the season, I know it looks good, and I'm higher on the team than I was, I think, at the start of the year. You just got to take it with a grain of salt. The seasons are like a seesaw, up and down, and I think 88% chance or whatever it was that Michigan comes in and wins. I like USC in that game, that USC beats Michigan. I like USC to win that game, but that percentage seems really high, and they're in a good spot, but I don't think it's just so early. You got to have a bigger sample size.
Yeah, I like Bryce's avatar there. He's got his winter stocking cap, SC stocking cap on. If I'm,
we got 2 more questions
All right.
from Facebook. Thank you to our Facebook
Thanks, Facebook.
viewers. From Bob, any injuries of note? We kind of already talked about this. Is USC relatively healthy entering Big Ten play?
Zacharias Williams got hurt, so he didn't practice yesterday, but he seems kind of low on the depth chart, so not a huge loss. Alex Graham still is out, so if they played a nickel, it'll either be Kamari Ramsey or Kevin Longstreet, it looks like. And I think that's about it for the guys who've played a lot. Everyone else, it's kind of lower level stuff.
Yeah, pretty healthy. Like that, overall.
It's pretty good going into
Alex Graham was a true freshman that, would have evidently been your starting nickel. But it's a true freshman. It's not like like a Kamari Ramsey or something being out. So, but so far USC's been pretty healthy going through. You're going to get banged up guys out here or there. Losing to Brian Jackson for a game, like you don't like that. But I think they got some pretty good depth at most of the spots, and there are some injuries that if that happened would be pretty big blows. But you haven't seen one of those yet so far.
And then 2 more. We got one last minute one from Peter. Question: when do you stop putting Longstreet in? Do you save his 2 more games or keep giving him reps and save his red shirt?
He's the backup, so it's going to be as needed. If Mailbag goes down, Longstreet will go in. If it's a blowout, I don't think they're really concerned about the red shirt because, especially in this day and age, if you're a 5-star quarterback, like of course you personally want as many years as possible. But if the plan is couple years here and then NFL, so I think he'll do what's best for the team, and if that is continuing to develop in blowouts and if Mailbag gets hurt to come in for him, I don't see them manipulating that down the stretch.
Yeah, Riley seemed much more concerned about getting his backup quarterback experience than saving a year, 3 years from now or something. Or so yes, if USC keeps blowing teams out, I think you're going to see him. I don't know. He's already played 2 games. He's your backup quarterback, so you want to get him as many turns as possible. So yeah.
And then our last question of the day, Ryan, this is for you.
Oh, okay.
Fact 21. Ryan, you said you took a golf trip to southern Utah, Nevada. I love playing golf there. Where did you play? Sand Hollow, Black Desert, Falcon Ridge?
I did play Black Desert, which was really cool. So this was, southern Utah. I mean, you think of Utah. This was it was 105 degrees or something. We flew into Vegas and drove. You drive through the corner of Arizona and then into Utah. But we played Coyote Springs, which I shot an 88 there. That was the hardest course, and I actually played my best round. There was the last one there. It was in the middle of nowhere, some development. They were supposed to make zillions of homes, but there's this amazing golf course, and they something with water rights. They haven't been able to do it. But I played Wolf Creek, which was it was a really cool course. That was one that was every tee box, you're up on some mesa or something. You have to hit over ravines. I mean, it was crazy.
That's cool.
And then also Copper Rock was another one we played. But it was really cool. I shot 100 Copper Rock. That was bad. But I didn't play well at the beginning. But at the end, the best course, I played well. I had a couple birdies. I was happy. But yeah, it was. I've never really played golf in those areas, and it was fun.
Nice. I got to get my golf game going.
You're the retired athlete.
Retired athlete. Yeah, I gotta get into it.
I mean, you can still destroy at the Y and everything.
Yeah,
right?
no, I could for sure.
So you come in there and just be
shooting competitions and all that. Yeah, all that jazz.
Oh,
for
who's
sure.
this girl? And it's I was good.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, that's it, guys.
Great stuff. We appreciate everyone chiming in, and it's great to do these live, and it's a lot of fun. Thanks India again for
thank you guys.
Doing everything. You're doing it, crushing it, doing a great job. No matter what Connor says, I think you're doing great. But yeah, we'll be.
You love that joke, Ryan.
I do. I use it all the time. It works so well too. Yes, Thursday night we're gonna do our preview show. You're back, India?
Yeah, I'm back.
India will be back helping us preview USC and Purdue, and then Friday morning we'll be flying out. Our crew will be there. We are doing, I know people were talking about Indianapolis. So the team is flying into Indianapolis, and I believe they're flying out of West Lafayette. I think it's an hour and a half drive. We will be there Friday night. Tom's Watch Bar in Indianapolis downtown. Starting at 6 p.m., we're going to do a little meetup. We've done these everywhere USC goes on the road. We try to get there that day on Friday and have a meetup that night. So come out if you're going to be there. Come check it out. It should be a lot of fun. And then we'll be at the game. I don't know if we're going to stop by a tailgate. Paul and Karen usually do a tailgate, so we'll probably stop by there. They host a lot of the players' parents and stuff, and it's a lot of fun. But yeah, it's going to be crazy getting in there. And we have a 7 a.m. flight or something out Sunday, so it's going to be a little rough. Then we'll be back Sunday night for Tunnel Vision. The rough one's going to be next week with Michigan State, 8 p.m.
Woof.
game. We're going to get out of the press
late.
box at 2 in the morning or something. It's going to be.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's very late. It's going to be bad, but yeah, good stuff.
It's a grind.
Sweet. All right, well, I guess we'll wrap it up. That's Connor Morrissette. That's our sharpshooter. India Otto.
Automatic.
Boss man.
Automatic.
Ryan Abraham.
I'm the boss man. Hope you guys all enjoyed the show.